Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. It was a busy day in Ottawa today. Parliament resumed for the first time since the fall election. A hot topic of discussion included whether or not Conservative MPs will fully comply with the House's new COVID-19 vaccination rules. A speaker was also elected, but as Fraser Needham reports, before any of this happened, a climate change rally was held in front of the Prime Minister's office.
About 100 activists braved the cold this morning. They wanted to let the Liberal government know they expect movement on climate change in the upcoming Parliament. Speakers said they were unimpressed with the government's performance at the recent COP26 summit in Glasgow, Scotland.
I feel that it was more so performative, where people were more so just making more distractions than really finding any real solutions, because I found that we were very excluded from a lot of the decision-making areas, even within COP.
Government House Leader Mark Holland says he wants to work with all opposition parties to pass legislation, but questioned the use of medical exemptions by an unknown number of Conservative MPs to attend Parliament without being fully vaccinated.
Let's be frank, from the Chief Medical Officers of Health, the likelihood that you have a medical exemption from a vaccination is 1 to 5 in 100,000. The Conservative caucus is 119 people. Statistically, the likelihood that they would have multiple people who are exempt on that basis is extraordinarily low. There might be some possibility of it, but I suppose there's a possibility that chair could fly.
The NDP says it will work with the Liberals on a case-by-case basis, but a formal accord between the two parties is off the table.
When it comes to the pandemic supports, we have seen that this government's taking an approach to cut help to people. And if they want to hurt people and they're going to bring in laws that will make it harder on folks, then they can go to the Conservatives or the Bloc for support, but we'll be voting against something that makes life worse for people. So there will be things that we agree. We absolutely agree on things like the banning the conversion therapy. We've already debated the bill. We've already passed the bill. So that's something that should be passed quickly, and that's something that we could absolutely work together on.
7 candidates contested the election for Speaker of the House of Commons. In the end, it was Anthony Rota winning out.
Mr. Rota
Will be his second term as Speaker. Parliament resumes again tomorrow with the speech from the throne. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
Last week, we tried to bring you a story from Wetsuweten territory, but technical problems prevented that on Friday. Here's that story now before we get to what happened over the weekend.
I'm Lee Wilson. I'm standing at an RCMP roadblock at the 28-kilometer mark at the Mourns River Forestry Road. Yesterday, 14 Wetsuweten and supporters were arrested as RCMP enforced the Coastal GasLink injunction. Photos from inside the blockades show police with assault weapons who carried out the arrest for breaching the injunction. Wetsuweten Gidimdan Clan Hereditary Chief Wass apologized to the workers caught in the camps, but says they gave the company lots of notice before blockading the roads.
We gave an 8-hour notice to CGL. And then we decided an additional 2 after that, 10 hours. A total of 20 hours was given to CGL to vacate the camp and that the road was going to be closed. We mean no harm to anyone, nor that the safety of others.
Tension started to build in the region in late September when Coastal GasLink was preparing to drill to pass the Wetsuweten, or the Mourns River. Coastal GasLink has approval from elected bands along the 670-kilometer route, but Wetsuweten hereditary chiefs remain opposed.
Since it started the project, and I'm referring to this pipeline, CGL, they never proceeded to contact the Wetsuweten hereditary chiefs. They started instead to divide the Wetsuweten people through the benefit agreements and excluded the hereditary chiefs.
On Thursday, in a press release, Coastal GasLink stated they now have access to 500 workers behind the blockades. Coastal GasLink has been advised that the Maurice Forest Service Road has been cleared by RCMP and can now be safely utilized to bring water, food, and other critical supplies to the 500 workers who have been stranded for almost 4 days. We are further advised that the road is not yet secured for public travel, but we will continue to provide further updates as the situation develops. Enforcement of the injunction continued on Friday with more arrests coming. In a press release, the Gidimt'en said blockades remained at the drill site near the Maurice River. APTN was not allowed access beyond the RCMP roadblock. It is being called an RCMP checkpoint and say it is for safety reasons. On Thursday, Lac-Samuso Chief Sebasa drummed outside the roadblock. This is the same location the injunction zone was established last year, which media were not allowed past. Hereditary Chief Was says their members are not allowed through with food or supplies.
Locking us from our own territory, establishing conditions, the RCMP saying that we'll let you go on a condition that you don't come back to your own land. That tells us a lot on the reconciliation.
On Friday, Wetsuweten and supporters gathered at the courthouse in Smithers as arrested protest camp members get processed. Chief Was is now asking to talk with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Premier Horgan to find a solution.
So we're asking again, in a diplomatic way, for Trudeau to sit down with us, the hereditary chiefs, Horgan to sit down with us, the hereditary chiefs, so that we could start a dialogue, so we could start the discussions that we know what we're talking about, and we want to inform you how we could do this together.
The sentiment on the ground here is that there will be solidarity actions coming across Canada. Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Houston.
Well, since then, the number of arrests has climbed to 29, including a journalist and a documentary filmmaker. Wetsuweten camp leader Slato, also known as Molly Wickham, was also arrested as RCMP enforced the injunction. A Gitxsan Nation solidarity protest was met with a strong showing of force from police. Here's more from Lee Wilson.
Gidimt'en camp leader Slato, Molly Wickham, was arrested in her Wetsuweten territory in the ongoing pipeline dispute with Coastal GasLink. A documentary filmmaker, Michael Toledano, and journalist Amber Bracken were among the 29 arrests over the 2 days of RCMP enforcement and spent the weekend in jail. Today, in a press release, the Canadian Association of Journalists called for their immediate release. The CAJ is extremely concerned about 2 Canadian journalists, Amber Bracken and Michael Toledano, who were illegally arrested on November 19th and remain in custody 3 days later. The CAJ demands their immediate release, the return of their belongings, and for the RCMP to drop all charges. On Friday, an hour and a half away in New Hazelton, Gitxsan members held a solidarity rally with blockades on a railway.
This is a consequence of your actions!
Gitxsan member Colin Sutherland Wilson yells from a bridge to a large group of RCMP officers moving on a blockade. A woman confronted police officers carrying assault rifles, telling them they are all unarmed. Sutherland Wilson described a chaotic scene that unfolded at the protest.
Saw a military invasion of Gitxsan following a military invasion of the Wet'suwet'en Yintah. We had tactical units here, sniper teams, assault rifles, pointed at women and children. We had helicopters circling around. We had busloads of RCMP imported to these territories to suppress our people.
Gitxsan member Rose Austin explained the reason to stand in solidarity together.
And we want the world to know that we're watching. And you're not hurting just one person or one camp. You're hurting our nations of both Gitxsan and Wet'suwet'en.
Wet'suwet'en hereditary wing chief from the Lac-Samuso clan, Antoinette Austin, was at the solidarity action on the bridge in New Hazelton. She expressed her concern about the Coastal GasLink pipeline crossing waterways in their territory.
Very, very concerned about, number one, our salmon stocks. What is going to happen with the salmon stocks should we have any kind of breaches from the activity from CGL?
Chief Austin explained their nation is taking a stand because of impacts on their territory, such as the historic Wetsuweten War Trail that was destroyed by CGL in 2019.
We're taking a really solid stand that it is not okay that they're encroaching on our land and destroying it. They're decimating pristine wilderness that had never been touched except for the Guise war trails, and all of that has just been decimated.
Social media video appears to show two arrested near the railway in Gitxsan territory over the weekend. We contacted RCMP for a statement, but did not hear back before airtime. Those arrested last week and the Wetsuweten territory blockades appeared in Prince George this morning for processing. Lee Wilson, APTN National News, New Hazelton.
Thank you, Lee. Well, mourners and supporters gathered in downtown Montreal today to remember Elisipi Pudagut, a 61-year-old Inuk whose body was recovered at a condo construction site just over a week ago. Over 100 people gathered at Cabot Square to remember Elisipi's impact within Montreal's street community. Police have ruled out foul play in her death, and a coroner's report is pending. The crowd marched together and laid flowers at the site where Elisipi was found on November 13th. Montreal Mayor Valerie Plante was invited to the vigil but did not attend. Advocates took the chance to speak to the growing needs among the homeless. They see a way forward, but it can't work without the political will.
Cold shouldn't be killing our people, but that's a tragic conclusion that we have to come to. And I think the city has to wake up and maybe look at this as an opportunity to provide example to other cities across the country.
Why is it always our responsibility? Why does the city and the province and the feds, come together and say, this is our solution? Because it is cold now, and if people don't have a warm place to stay tonight, someone else is going to die. And I really, it's already a tragedy why we're here today. I don't want this to continue, and hopefully they're going to feel the same way.
Time for a quick break, but when we come back, the Wet'suwet'en Nation is a step closer to protecting a wildlife reserve from oil and gas drilling, thanks to U.S. President Joe Biden. Stay with us. The Wet'suwet'en Nation is one step closer to fully protecting Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge from oil and gas drilling. The U.S. House has passed President Joe Biden's Build Back Better Act, which restores protection to the refuge. Those protections were violated in 2017 when former President Donald Trump opened the refuge to oil and gas drilling. Wet'suwet'en in Alaska and northern Canada have been fighting to protect the refuge as its coastal plain is considered a sacred caribou birthing place. The bill will require a majority vote in the U.S. Senate before it becomes law. Chief Dana Taja Tram of the Vuntut Wet'suwet'en First Nation in northern Yukon is hoping that it will be passed by the year's end.
Not just an incredible success for the Wet'suwet'en Nation, but for the truth of our Arctic environments, for the future of our children, that the principles that have guided our nation as Wet'suwet'en are now also honored by North America in general.
From caribou to moose, it's been a year since members of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation erected barricades to stop sport hunting on a wildlife reserve that's on their ancestral land. Negotiations between Quebec and the involved communities have made progress, but some feel that they are advancing too slowly. This is a story by Shushan Bacon, read by Lindsay Richardson.
These dramatic images are from last autumn, when the Anishinaabe Nation in Quebec mobilized to stop moose sport hunting on their territory. Blocking access roads to the La Vérendrye Wildlife Reserve generated serious consequences, such as verbal and physical violence from non-Indigenous sports hunters. A year later, it's much more tranquil here, but that doesn't mean that the harassment has stopped. These photos show pieces of moose found discarded on the edge of a forest path, parts of the moose most Anishinaabe would never waste. Charles Radd says it isn't even the worst.
I've been hearing stories from individuals that were escorted and harassed by non-native hunters in the ZECs outside the park, you know, and these are women and children that are being harassed and escorted out with guys with guns on four-wheelers. You know, this is still happening.
Last June, a 2-year moratorium on moose hunting was signed by the Anishinaabe and Quebec. According to Lucien Wabananik, a negotiator for a coalition of Anishinaabe communities in the region, the 2-year period will be used to study the state of the moose population. This work will be done in collaboration with Anishinaabe elders from different communities, as well as Quebec's Ministry of Forests.
Pour nous, l'objectif, c'est d'avoir un meilleur contrôle, une meilleure participation dans tous les niveaux décisionnels possibles. Donc, l'objectif, c'est d'avoir un contrôle de la réserve faunique de la Vérandrie par les Anishinaabe, soit une création, soit un partenariat avec la CEPAC ou soit éliminer la CEPAC. On n'est pas nécessairement rendu là.
But one Anishinaabe community is not part of the negotiation table concerning the moose moratorium. RAT is disappointed that the Band Council of the Algonquins of Barrier Lake, or ABL for short, have withdrawn from the negotiation table on the moose population.
This chief and council that's in ABL right now does not represent us. They do not speak to us, they don't consult us, they don't tell the people nothing.
What the Barrier Lake Band Council has done instead is sign its own framework agreement with Quebec. Their framework agreement also includes a 2-year moratorium on moose sport hunting, but it's also asking Quebec to commit to finish negotiating an implementation agreement. According to Chief Tony Wawati, this would help the Algonquins of Barrier Lake have a say on forestry cuts on their territory and also benefit from it.
And we need those economic opportunities for ourselves, and you know, by signing such an agreement, it'll help you know, build our economy. It'll help build you know, the non-native economy, the regional economy. So those are the things that we have to take a look at. You know, enough of this piecemeal approach. You know, we can't just live on programs and services.
For now, the moratorium for moose hunting for the 2021 and 2022 seasons has been established. Harassment aside, this can be considered a victory for Anishinaabe who depend on moose for food. But what will happen in 2 years when the moratorium is lifted and the moose population has not increased?
We'll still be here in the end. We're still going to do the same stuff. For us, if nothing is done, you know, if not, we see no action on the ground, we will be taking action again come the end of this moratorium that Quebec has signed with the Algonquin chiefs.
A story by Shushan Bacon, APTN National News, La Vérandrie Wildlife Reserve, Quebec.
Well, we need to take another break, but here's something that we're working on for you.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Moritz-Jacobs reporting from beautiful Wetsuweten on the east arm of Great Slave Lake. This week, I'll bring you stories about protecting the Denenene, the land of the ancestors.
For whatever we get, we share with the community.
This is my mom.
A 60 Scoop survivor's journey to find her family.
I was like, well, would she be alive? She goes, probably.
And explore what's in a name, traditional naming practices.
Katala, that has a chip on, it has a meaning, right? Which means rapid blood.
That's coming up soon on APTN National News.
Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Here's Winnipeg's skyline over the seasons. These shots are above Parc Elzire Goulet in St. Boniface. Right here in Winnipeg, it's captured by Julian Tugas, spanning of a year. Thank you for sharing that photo. You could submit your photos to share at aptn.ca to be featured as our photo of the day. Please include the location and a description of what we'd be looking at. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, we've got 5 and sunshine for St. John's 2 and showers expected for Halifax. Nain, 5 degrees and showers, same with Happy Valley Goose Bay, but you're getting flurries. Sunny Hills -1 with a mix of sun and cloud. Montreal -2 sunny. -3 and sunshine for Ottawa, -5 and sunshine for North Bay. Kapuskasing and Timmins both getting snow, -3 in Kapuskasing. Puckatawagan -15 and snow, -6 and a mix of sun and clouds for the Paw. 0 for Winnipeg and Brandon and sunshine, 2 and sunny for Dauphin. 3 and sunshine for Regina, 0 and sunny for Saskatoon and Gerkton. -6 and snow for Buffalo Narrows, -16 and snow for Stony Rapids. -4 and snow for Fort McMurray, -10 and snow for Grand Prairie. Edmonton, sunshine and 6 degrees, mix of sun and cloud and 7 for Lethbridge. 5 and cloud for Kamloops, 0 and snow for Quesnel. Dease Lake, -11 and sunshine, -17 for Fort Nelson and snow. -25 and snow for Dawson City, -27 and sunshine for Rock River. -28 with a mix of sun and cloud for Norman Wells, -28 and sunshine for Yellowknife, -29 and sunny for Colville Lake. Sax Harbor, -22 and snow. Snow for Baker Lake, -17, New Yacht, -4 and snow. Pangerton, you're getting some flurries, -5 flurries and -10 for Clyde River. The Indigenous film industry is in the spotlight this week in Winnipeg. Youth Education Day was the first official event for the 20th annual Winnipeg Aboriginal Film Festival. Michelle Karlenzig was there to hear how WAF used an Indigenous film to shed light on MMIWG safety.
High school students filtered into the Performing Arts Centre at Garden City Collegiate. Youth Education Day was hosted by the Winnipeg Aboriginal Film Festival and screened the Indigenous film She Whistles.
Just let me out. I'll just walk back. Just let me out.
In the film, Canadian-born actress Sarah Lise MacArthur whistles at the Northern Lights and uses supernatural powers to fight off a cab driver trying to abduct her. The fictional situation was tied into real-life scenarios when 19-year-old Serenity Morisseau told her own personal story at the festival.
Like, I knew there was going to be a way I could get out of it, but I just didn't know how yet.
A taxi driver from a Winnipeg cab company was charged by Winnipeg police with assault and attempted confinement against Morisseau last month. Morisseau said a film like this sheds light on what happened to her and the larger issue of safety for Indigenous women and girls. The day included speeches from industry workers and actors, showing the ins and outs of the film industry. Director Colleen Rajat says WAF's Youth Education Day has one goal.
We do this to inspire youth and expose them to all of the opportunities in the film world.
WAF's 20-year anniversary marks many things.
Over the years, are just so happy and proud that we're able to highlight all of the incredible Indigenous talent, the filmmakers, the actors, and over the years we've just seen the caliber, the quality, the storytelling improve and expand.
The Winnipeg Aboriginal Film Festival kicks off at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights on November 24th. Michelle Karlenzig, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
20,000 views on
That's your APTN National News to kick off the week. I'm Melissa Ridgen, and we're going to